Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So the topic is, I did a wedding tip Wednesday last week and I got a lot of comments on my social media about not to smash the cake in people's faces. It is something that traditionally years ago used to be a fun thing to do for the bride smushing into the groom's face or vice versa. And a lot of, now we don't see that. It's 2024. I very seldom ever do see anyone. What I do see is the threats. You know, don't do it. And then the threat of it, you know, going back like this, like you're going to do it. And it's a very tricky situation because you've spent hundreds of dollars on your makeup. You've spent, you know, so much money on the cake and so much money on the dress and everything and the nails and everything else like that and the suit and all of a sudden I did a wedding one time and you know the groom was eating his prime rib at his dinner and it dripped on his shirt and we still had to do pictures after that with family that was not there during the cocktail hour. So guess who had to Photoshop or cover that and find a way? Stains happen. So when I did this wedding tip Wednesday about, you know, not smushing the cake, there was a lot of people in there that were more for against it. And then it was one or two guys that felt like it was okay to do. You don't want to make your wife and or spouse or significant other mad on the day that is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're smushing a cake because everybody's cheering you on. They're all egging you on. They're all in there saying, hey, yeah, do it. And sometimes it just does not, it's not funny. It's really not funny. It's funny in the first part when I'll get to the knife thing in just a second, but just, you know, bringing the arm back and that's a cool shot. But you really don't want to stiff arm, you know, that significant other with cake in their face and then it goes up their nose and then it's in their eyelashes and so on and so forth. And you really want to do that. And I've only had one couple that was very adamant about doing it, but they were doing it to each other. So they both told me ahead of time, hey, we're going to do this. And they did it. And that was a rare occasion to do something like that. So it was a rare occasion that happens. The other thing is we are very quick to have our finger on the trigger when it comes to cameras and stuff like that. So the last thing you really want to do, and I know it's joking and I know it's playful and things like that, so you don't want to raise the knife up like the movie Psycho, even though it's funny and it's a gesture kind of thing like that. I'm going to get that picture. And it's funny in the beginning part of it, but then it's really, you kind of like do it once, but that's it. And then you really don't want to do it again. That's not a fun gesture you want to remember your wedding day with So that's what you don't want to remember is the knife being pointed at your significant other. So avoid the knife grab and try to resist the urge and the egging on of all of the guests saying, do it, your chicken, and so on and so forth. Just go in. The bride, what I do is I start with them facing each other. They're looking at the cake, and I have their hands behind the cake so that I can't see them. I have the cake in front of them and them behind that. They're looking at me, click, click, click. I get my setup shots, adjust my flash, so on and so forth, and then I have them start cutting. So I tell them ahead of time what to do. You're going to push, her hand is here, his hand is here, her hand is on top of his, put it on the knife, you're going to, in the back, you're looking at me. For after that, you're not looking at anything except doing what you're doing. You're going to push down on one side, you're going to push down on the other side. You're going to grab the server, you're going to pull that piece out. You're going to put it onto a plate. There's two forks there. Grab one fork, he grabs one fork. Take the fork, put a little bit on each other. Now you can do one of two things. You can do the bride feeds him first and then the groom feeds him second, or you can do one of these things where they both feed each other at the same time. So there's a lot of different options when they're doing that. Laugh, and then at the end, you're going to go in for that kiss at the end, and there's usually frosting involved and stuff like that. Go in for the kiss and hold the kiss for 3 to 5 seconds, just like you do for your first kiss at the ceremony. That'll be another video, how long to hold your kiss for. So for now, 3 to 5 seconds, and then that's it. I give them the napkins, I take the rest of the stuff away, I put the piece of cake that they cut, I put it over at their plate, and then we go back to dancing and or start the formals dances or the reception, or we start the reception dances and stuff like that, or whatever else we're going to do. But usually at the tail end of eating, the bride and groom are already done. the guests are still eating, that is when the cake gets cut. So now let's just interject just for just a quick second. There is nowadays people that are a little bit, don't want all of the attention on them, so they will go in and do what's called a private cake cutting. Private does not mean you go off into a separate room, although that has happened, and go into a separate room and then you do it all inside of there. Private one just means there's no announcement. There's no announcement for the DJ saying, hey, everybody come on over and we're going to be cutting the cake. Bring your cameras, because what happens is whoosh, 45 people standing around you, looking at you cutting your cake, egging you on to see if you're going to smash it in her face or smash it in his face. So you can do that if you want. That is called an open cake cutting. So you can do an open cake cutting where you make the announcements, everybody comes in. My photographer, myself and my second shooter are in our positions prior to, so I always have my second shooter to my right or to my left, and I'm always straight on. That way they get more of a candid side of it and on both sides. So that's what's called an open one. Everybody else is around. My flashes are going to overpower anybody else's cell phone flashes and so on and so forth. So what you don't want is you don't want people behind them in your frame of shooting. That's the other thing. So a quiet and or a private one is a little bit more, no announcement is done by the DJ. We go over, say, hey, it's time to cut the cake, because they need to cut the cake for dessert. We go over, we will stand over there. I do all the same things all over again. Line them up, click, 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 get my preliminaries, set my flash, and then have them cut the cake, have them cut the piece, put it back onto the plate, and so on and so forth. And there's nobody else around egging them on and or bothering them while they're trying to have a little bit of that moment of quietness there. So open or private is up to you. Just try not to smush the cake in the face. It does make a difference for the rest of the day, for the rest of the night, if the bride still has cake in her makeup and or in her lashes, or I've seen it in the hair, in their mustache. If a groom has a beard and you smush it in his face, it's in there. And he ain't getting that out until he showers, so it's in there. So take those things into consideration. Yeah, it's funny to make the gesture, but that's it. Don't smush the cake. It does affect the rest of the day. And if you make your significant other upset when you do that because you think it's funny and your best friends are egging you on, you will pay for that later on. So be smart about it. Cut the cake openly or privately. Do it smart. Make the gesture, but don't actually do it, and it will be better for you in the long run when it comes to that. So when it comes to your wedding day, open or private is up to you. Just don't smush the cake in the face. It's just not a thing that people do anymore anyways. And remember, don't raise the knife up like the movie Psycho. So thank you guys for coming back to the channel. Thank you for staying this long. Hit that like button down the bottom and hit that subscribe button. It does help the algorithm find things like this for other people. And thank you guys for coming back. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here. This channel is all about experience and all about what happens on wedding days and or business related industries. Thank you guys for coming back, and peace.